Speculation has run wild, the internet on fire with if it's true declarations following the release of an explosive report from Buzzfeed News. Now, the article claimed that President Trump directed his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, to lie to Congress about a project to bring a Trump Tower to Russia, which, if true, would be a crime. Now, the author cited information from two federal law enforcement officials involved in the investigation of the matter.
And you know, Jay Bell, he does not waste any time. We're talking about President Donald J. Trump. Of course, he is calling Cohen a liar immediately in a tweet.
Yeah, saying that he's lying to reduce jail time. Well, within the last few hours, Buzzfeed has released another tweet with new information, a statement from a spokesperson for the Special Counsel Robert Mueller's office. And it says in part that Buzzfeed's description and characterizations of documents and testimony obtained by the office regarding Michael Cohen's congressional testimony are not accurate. But Buzzfeed is saying that they are standing by that story. This from their editor saying we stand by our reporting, and they urge the special counsel to make clear what he's exactly what he's disputing with all of this.
The bottom line, when Mueller is done, we'll all have a lot more information then.
Yes, exactly.